I tell people all the time, my wife and I, we have a wonderful marriage. We've been married 23 years. The first 8 years were horrible. The next 7 years were tricky. And since year 15, it has been outstanding. And every day it gets better than it did the day before. The first 8 years were difficult because we were more concerned about what we wanted than what our spouse wanted. The next 7 years were rocky because we were trying to get what we wanted while at the same time do the right thing and do what the other one wanted. Since year 15, things have been great because her sole focus in everything is me. My wants, my needs, everything. My sole focus is hers. Okay? In order to get to that point, in order to get my wife to focus 100% of her efforts on me, I had to focus 100% of mine on her. For completely selfish reasons, I had to become unselfish. Right? When you look at where we are with things, if your desire is to survive the society Indian event, I can get you there. I can. In a manner of seminars, with the right stuff, with the right training, I can get you there. If that's your desire, I can get you there tonight. I can give you the tools, mentally and emotionally. I can give you the things that you need physically to get you through that. To where the day the lights go out, you go home. And if that's all you want, I can do that. And I admire that. But that's selfish. Okay? Because in order for your family to get here, your spouse, your loved ones, your neighbors, you have to not be concerned about you getting home on night one. You have to be concerned about your family getting home on night one. If your family survives, you survive. If you survive, your family survives. We're interconnected. If I have 2 children under the age of 12, and my spouse and I die in a survival situation in the first 180 days, my wife's chances of survival have dropped from about 81, 82% to around 42 to 43, 44%. My children under 12, their chances of survival have dropped from 65 to 70% down to around the 20 to 25% mark. If my wife dies after I do, the chances of my children surviving in that first 180 days, the chances of my 2 children under the age of 12 surviving more than 3 days past her death is less than 2%. So if I die, my wife dies, and my children die. Right? Somebody's got to watch while I sleep. Somebody's got to tend my wounds when I get hurt. You cannot survive alone. 2 is 1, 1 is none. That's the philosophy. You can't stay awake 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can't cut the wood, set the fire, boil the water, collect the water, cook the food, eat the food, clean up the food, and do that 3 times a day and still be able to move 10 to 15 miles a day. It takes 2 minimum, preferably 4. For purely selfish reasons, my own survival, I have to ensure my wife's survival. So I have to be completely unselfish to put her survival ahead of mine to get to here. And if your goal is to move past the event and make it to day 180, I can get you there. I can give you the tools you need mentally and emotionally and physically to get here. And if that's your goal, we can get there. In order to get here, you have to make it through here. So if I prepare you to get to this point, we've pretty much ensured you're going to get to this point, right? I'd rather take a different tact. I've evolved in my way of thinking. I'm looking at things differently today than I did a few weeks ago. My goal is here. My desire is to make sure that enough people make it here, that we can have enough people make it here, so that we can have enough people to accomplish this monumental task. To give you an example, I'm a study of battlefields. I'm a study of history. I'm a study of tactics, okay? When I look at Hot Springs, and I really focus on Hot Springs, I recognize a few things. This is not a premium area to be in, okay? Hot Springs, without the appropriate planning, without the men and women that have a desire to see the community survive, will be like everywhere else. 6%, 12% if you're lucky. Now with the proper planning, this community can survive. It has plenty of readily available natural resources, more natural resources than was required to sustain the community as it is today. But you have to implement that. You have to look for that. I'll be a part of Jerry's group because I respect Jerry, to the point where, as a leader of my own group, I'm willing to put myself under Jerry's authority. That's monumental for me. I'm a huge control freak, okay? I have to be in charge. And Jerry is going to be my leader if I'm on the west side of the Mississippi when the lights go out. If I'm not, as soon as I can get my people, wait out the dying time and get here, Jerry will be my leader. I don't want to look at Hot Springs as getting a handful of people that are friends of Jerry's to that point, and I sure don't want to look at Hot Springs as being an area where a handful of Jerry's friends can get to this point. I want to look at Hot Springs as being the capital of a country that is the bastion for freedom and democracy in the world. That's my goal. Because when the lights go out, the United States as we know it will never exist like it has now ever again. It's physically impossible. There's more civil unrest now, 3 times more civil unrest now than there was in the 10 years leading up to the American Civil War, or as I like to refer to it, the War of Northern Aggression. There was twice as much civil unrest in the 10 years leading up to the Civil War as there was in the 10 years leading up to the Revolutionary War. In the 1760s, 1 out of 17 colonists were against the crown. 1. And we fought a revolution. The reason I point that out is because right now in the United States, we're divided by those in favor of the government and those that are not in favor of the government. We're divided by those that are liberal and those that are conservative. We're divided by those that are Christian and those that are not Christian. We're divided by those that are white, black, purple, yellow, tan, whatever. We're divided by those that have money and those that don't have money, and those two groups are buffered by those in between that think they have money but really don't, formerly known as the middle class. Okay? The reason I say that is because at best, 10 years after society and event, at best, what is currently the United States of America will be 7 nations. At best. The left coast will stay the left coast. Texas will become Texas. The middle part of the United States, the breadbasket, will form and secure. Areas like Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina will erupt in all kinds of fighting, everybody fighting everybody. Eventually somebody will prevail and form a little nation there. The northeastern seaboard will be nothing but cannibals left. That's all that'll be left up there by the time the disease and everything runs rampant. And then we'll have a couple little pockets. That's at best. Worst case scenario, 150 or more nations, okay? This group here that survives, their ideology is what will dictate what their future is. We'll see it all the way across the board. And we'll have some crazies. Boy, will we have some crazies. Because nothing will turn somebody insane worse than 3 to 5 years of pure and utter chaos. Okay? Those of us that can stare into the chaos and seek out the patterns and appreciate the beauty of the patterns within the chaos can build on that. Those are the building blocks of every society that's ever existed. So my goal, with the understanding of how how Hot Springs can grow and prosper, is this. It's not just Jerry's group. It's a multitude of groups. Minimum 7, preferably 9, in and around the Hot Springs area. They contribute today, just like they will contribute day 2 following a society and event, to the community. You cannot assist a group of people through the chaotic times and have them respect you enough to follow you through the chaos if they don't know you now. The future that I see for this area doesn't start the day after a society ending event. It doesn't start on day 181 following a society ending event. The future that I see for this area starts right now, right here, with each and every one of you. It's no longer I have to do what I need to do to ensure that my wife and my children survive, my grandchildren survive, my parents survive. It's no longer enough, because that's going to get me here. I have to be completely unselfish to designate all of my time from this moment forward to help others get to here in order for me to be successful, right? But in being completely unselfish and helping a multitude of people get here, I ensure I make it here and I make it here. You follow? This is no longer my finish line. The reason I talk about that tonight is because we get so caught up in what is coming. Fortunately, I've got enough people focused on not CNN and not Fox, certainly not Honey Boo Boo, but I've got enough people focused on what is coming our way that they are preparing for that. Our way of life will not end with the financial collapse. It will not end with the pandemic. It will not end with Department of Homeland Security taking over. It will not end with the Patriots being sent away to the FEMA concentration camps. It will not end by an alien armada invading. It will not end because of chemtrails and HARP. Our society will end because we're at a cycle that is coming to an end. It's that simple. We are months away from entering year 3,647 of a 3,647-year cycle, wherein everything on Earth will change. Our weather patterns will change. The migratory habits of the wildlife on the planet will change. We will see every creature on Earth affected by the changes we're going through. And for those of y'all that think that I'm way out there, if you look at what's happened in our planet in the last 18 to 24 months, you see it's already started. The explanation for the mass animal die-offs is because our magnetic poles have shifted 37.6 degrees. Our animals no longer know where to go or how to get where they need to be, because when they follow the path that they have followed for 3.5 millennia, they end up in the wrong spot. That's why we have 3.5 square miles of dolphins turning up off the coast of Los Angeles and then dying. That's why we have fish washing ashore all over the world. They're going somewhere that they, for 3.5 millennia, have gone to, and when they get there, it's not where they need to be, and the climate's not right to support them, and the life isn't there to sustain them, and they're dying. We're getting hit with chaotic, massive, tremendous storms in areas that never get hit because our weather patterns have changed. Every planet on the face of our Earth is doing one of three things: trying to survive in a climate that is impossible for them to survive in, preparing to defend themselves from another nation starting a war with them, preparing to start a war with another nation. Every nation, every group of people. It's in the news. Check it out. Terrorism is at an all-time high, and it's being done in areas that never get affected by terrorists, by groups that have never been terrorists before. Every creature is dealing with something different. And mankind is evolving to adapt, sorry about that, to adapt with where we are. My stomach hurts. That's why it's making noise. If you heard the noise, that was all it was my stomach. But anyhow, mankind, I want to clarify that, mankind is adapting to deal with the situation that they are unprepared to deal with. And it's driving them crazy. That's why there's so many rebellions. Our leaders don't know what to do about the economy. We don't know what to do about our leaders. Everybody's blaming somebody, and nobody's to blame. It's time. And it's right around the corner, and we're going to deal with it. So the question is, do you want to stop at the 100-yard line, 100-meter yard line? Do you want to run the half mile? Or do you want to join me and several others and make this your finish line? In order to do that, your thinking has to change. You have to evolve. You have to stop getting together in groups and talking about prepping. Stop meeting for coffee and going, hey, did you read this book? I just finished it. Great book. Got some really good ideas. You have to stop talking about it and start doing it. Just to let y'all know, yes, I sell long shelf life food. Yes, that's how I support what I do. This is not a plug for that. Just letting y'all know a couple things. Our government announced in February that they expect our food prices to increase between 18 and 22% by the end of the summer. Has anybody paid attention to that? Our government passed a bill in 2009 that says that as of August 1st of this year, every child born in the United States will have an RFID chip implanted in its heel. Nobody's paying attention. Our government passed a law that says that as of August 1st of this year, you cannot buy heirloom seeds, non-GMO seeds. The reason you can't buy them is because nobody can sell them. If you're caught selling them, it's 5 years in prison. If you're caught buying them, it's 2 years in prison. Because as of August 1st, you can only buy seeds and you can only sell seeds if you are a federally recognized, state-licensed seed distributor. And the only way to be federally recognized is to sell seeds that are not heirloom non-GMO seeds. Nobody cares. It's called the Affordable Health Care Act. Many people refer to it as Obamacare. Because when Obamacare came out, all we cared about was who's paying for whose birth control. See, in the United States, there's two things we really like: blood and sex. So when a politician does something wrong, and everybody starts looking at that, if we cover it with violence and sex, everybody stops looking at it and starts looking over here. Case in point. 17 senators and a handful of congressmen were on the verge of initiating procedures to impeach Bill Clinton for treason. Because documents came out that proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was providing information on our military weapon systems to the Chinese. And the day after we all found out about it, we found out about Monica Lewinsky. And nobody's talked about Clinton and the Chinese again. See, the problem is that while we're all sitting here trying to figure out what's going on, the world's slipping away from us. There's a hole this big in the bottom of our boat, and the whole front half of the boat is gone. And we're playing mumbly peg trying to drive a peg into this hole while the boat's sinking. Because we know how to fix this. We don't know how to fix that. We become obsessed with it. We don't know how to fix it. We have to figure out what is our priorities. What is the end game? What do we want to achieve? Make that our finish line. And you'll make it. You're either going to make it or you're not. You have a 50-50 chance in life of achieving any goal. You got a 50-50 chance of making it home on day 1. You got a 50-50 chance of making it through day 180. And you got a 50-50 chance of being at the founding, being at the start of the only bastion of democracy and freedom in the world. When the United States crumbles, the rest of the world will crumble. 10 years following a society and event, the world will look completely different. We have to determine what we're going to do with our future. If there's a 50-50 chance of making it to your goal, do you want your goal to be here, here, or here? In order to get here, you got to make it through here. So you got a 50-50 chance once you get there of making it here. Or you have a 50-50 chance of making it here if you get there. You got a 50-50 chance of making it here to start with. That's my goal. For completely selfish reasons, my survival, I have to be unselfish, recognize that it's going to take the community to survive and get me there. So that's where we're at.